So you're now no longer are you necessarily keeping those private files in some file cabinet that's locked in the basement of the house. It's on your laptop, and it's then therefore up here in this cloud that exists above us, right? It's no longer in a physical place.
Meanwhile,
that he thinks that Kamala Harris will win. And you were even saying, Steve, that a lot of your conservative and Republican friends are starting to freak out.
They are, but they shouldn't be. And again, you ask me, am I concerned? Of course I'm concerned. We should always be concerned in this business and in a country that is as polarized as we are, where the margin of victory is likely to be really small. But I also firmly believe this, and most regular Americans who aren't highly politically attuned haven't really started paying attention to the race. That typically doesn't happen until after Labor Day. But once they do, number one, they're going to learn that Kamala Harris is a California Berkeley radical. But number two, I believe once they think about the calculus of what Joe Biden, what has happened within the Democratic Party, right? The fact that the Democratic power brokers were able to effectively select rather than elect their nominee, that 14 million Democratic voters were disenfranchised, and that in effectively a smoke-filled room, the important people, in quotes, decided who this will be, and that Joe Biden would not step aside, that he had to be pushed out in a political backroom, bloodless coup. He had to be pushed out. Yeah. And I would further add, Dan, that he won't resign right now. The fact that he won't resign when he's not running again and make her President Harris, I believe, is an indictment of Harris in the eyes of Joe Biden. The fact that he won't do that for her.
Look,
and
I agree with you.
Will think about that.
I agree with you on.
All right, guys. So we got to talk about delusional Nancy Pelosi, who did an interview with CBS correspondent Lesley Stahl. And this interview was about as softball as you can imagine. Okay. And this is important because allegedly, Nancy Pelosi was a part of the elite group of Democrats that decided to stage a coup against Joe Biden. Now, we have not had any answers on exactly how that happened, okay, or any details about why in the world is it that Joe Biden insisted that he was staying in the race and that he wasn't getting out until he announced that he was getting out. I mean, that morning, he still had people in his campaign telling the media that Biden's not going anywhere. He's staying in the race. Again, this is another lie that was told to the American people from the Biden administration, and now they want you to vote for Kamala Harris, right? As if she's not lying as well, too. Again, it's ridiculous. But anyways, Nancy Pelosi was confronted on what she told Joe Biden to make him get out, a.k.a. how did you stage the coup, right? How did the coup go down? And in her response to basically trying to deny that she was actually involved in the coup, she's going to declare that Joe Biden belongs on Mount Rushmore. Yes, this is what she said in response to that question. I want to talk about it, but before we get into it, we have to have a word from the sponsor of this video, Noble Gold. Are you worried about the future of the U.S. economy? With so much uncertainty in the air, it is natural to fret about the security of your retirement savings. However, there's one asset that stands the test of time, and that is gold. For centuries, gold has been a hedge against market volatility and economic instability. With a gold IRA from Noble Gold Investments, you can harness the power of precious metals in order to secure your financial future. By rolling over your existing IRA or 401k into a self-directed gold IRA, you can enjoy the potential for long-term growth and stability. Diversify your portfolio with a tangible asset that has real value. Setting up a gold IRA with Noble Gold Investments has never been easier with its streamlined process and expert guidance. This election year, do not let the volatility and uncertainty keep you up at night. Vote for the timeless safety of gold and silver in 2024. And Noble Gold Investments will give you up to 10 1-ounce silver Trump coins or a 10-ounce silver American flag bar if you open a qualified account. Go to noblegoldinvestments.com now. That is noblegoldinvestments.com. And just remember, there's a risk with every investment and there's no guarantee of any kind.
Please tell us what you told President Biden to persuade him to step aside.
Well, I've never shared any conversations with the President of the United States publicly, no.
It said that he's furious at you. Is he?
Well, he knows that I love him very much.
I understand that you don't want to own this, but it is so well reported that you were the leader of a pressure campaign.
No, I wasn't a leader of any precious party. Well, let me say things that I didn't do. I didn't call one person. I did not call one person. I could always say to him, I never called anybody. What I'm saying is I had confidence that the president would make the proper choice for our country, whatever that would be. And I said that, whatever that is, we'll go with.
Had you seen a decline in Joe Biden, and did you think he needed to step aside?
No. My whole point was, whatever he decides, but we have to have a more aggressive campaign.
She mentioned his many accomplishments, including his forceful leadership of the NATO summit with other Western heads of state.
So he was in a good place to make whatever decision, the top of his game. Such a consequential president of the United States, a Mount Rushmore kind of president of the United States. Want to know what comes next.
That he belongs up there on Mount Rushmore? Lincoln and Joe Biden.
But you got Teddy Roosevelt up there, and he's wonderful. I don't say take him down, but you can add Biden.
Wow. Nancy Pelosi really just said on national television that we should put Joe Biden on Mount Rushmore. Oh my goodness, guys. I told you that this is what they were going to do, right? I told you that if Joe Biden decides to step down, which he did, okay, via Democrat coup, they would try to rewrite history and make Joe Biden one of the greatest presidents ever, right? And I think that's ultimately why Joe decided to step aside, is because it really came down to a legacy decision. For Joe Biden, it's about, do you want to stay in the race and lose to Trump and be blamed for allowing Trump to win again, and also going down as one of the worst presidents in history, according to the liberal historians, okay, and the media, because, again, you allowed Trump to win. And also on top of that, it doesn't help that you have one of the lowest approval ratings ever for a president, okay? So definitely doesn't help. But now that Biden decided to step down, now all of a sudden it's, oh no, Joe Biden belongs on Mount Rushmore. Again, we're talking about a president that has one of the lowest approval ratings ever, okay? A terrible economy, inflation that we haven't seen since the 70s and 80s, okay? Housing is unaffordable. The border is wide open. We have more wars under Joe Biden's watch. Crime is out of control. I mean, it is an absolute disaster what's happening in this country, guys. People can't afford to live. People are struggling. But yeah, oh yeah, Joe Biden's supposed to go down as one of the greatest presidents ever now because he stepped down and he let Kamala take the reins. It's hilarious to think about. And stuff like this, again, it really makes me question history, guys, right? I mean, everything that I've ever read in a history book, I'm just like, was that really true? Okay? Because think about this. If Kamala Harris wins, they're going to say that Kamala Harris was the first black woman president. Now, we know, living here in the present, right, experiencing it, that's not true. Like, we know that Kamala Harris is not black. So she should not go down as the first black woman president. But if she wins, that is what historians will say, even though those of us living in this period, right, know that that's not true. It's wild to think about. It really is. What's wilder is that this would not be the case if the media did their jobs. She's sitting here in this interview with Lesley Stahl, and Lesley Stahl is not pushing back whatsoever. This is a serious topic. But Lesley Stahl is kiki and ha-haing with Nancy Pelosi about the fact that they staged a coup against Joe Biden to install somebody that nobody voted for. That's not something to kiki and ha-ha about. Like, that's a serious topic. But she was tossed a softball question. What did you say to Joe Biden to make him drop out? Instead of, why did Joe Biden decide to drop out even though he insisted that he was staying in? Did you pressure Joe Biden to step out? That would have been a better question. Or another question could have been, if you believe that Joe Biden should be on Mount Rushmore, then why in the world did he step down, right? Why did he decide not to run for re-election if he's one of the greatest presidents ever? That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. What you're saying is just not coherent, right? Also, on top of that, if Nancy Pelosi was not aware of Joe Biden cognitively declining, then why in the world is she still in office? Why are you still in office? If you don't have the judgment to recognize that Biden was mentally declining, even though it was obvious to everybody, then you are not mentally fit enough to be in office. Those are the questions that the media really should be asking Nancy Pelosi, but they don't. They just kiki ha ha. Oh, we're going to ask you the question to say that we asked, right? But they're not pressing Nancy Pelosi on what happened. Did you pressure Joe Biden to step down? Do you think that it's okay for Democrats to install a Democrat nominee without anybody voting? Does that make sense? Why did you guys rig your own primary? Why didn't you have a primary if you guys knew that Joe Biden was mentally declining? There's a whole lot of questions that should be asked to Democrats that never get asked because Democrats don't do interviews on Fox News or Newsmax or any news station that's actually going to press back against them. And the news stations that they do interviews on, they aren't news stations. They aren't journalistic outlets. They're propaganda platforms. Democrats are freely allowed to just say whatever they want to say, even if it's as ridiculous as Joe Biden should be on Mount Rushmore. And these liberal media propagandists never lift a finger to challenge a Democrat on anything. And this is why, again, the deck is stacked against us. And I'm not saying that as a way to discourage people. I'm saying that as a wake-up call. You got to understand, it's not just us versus the Democrats and Kamala Harris. No, it's us versus them plus the media. We have to face off against two opponents at the same time, okay? Because, again, the media is currently acting as an enemy of the people when they refuse to do their jobs, okay? And what Nancy Pelosi just said in this interview was disqualifying. I'm not entirely sure how in the world she is allowed to hold office if she did not know that Joe Biden was mentally declining. And also on top of that, she thinks Joe Biden should be on Mount Rushmore. I mean, it is delusional. It really is. She should be checked just like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.